My name is Bradley Craig Villeneuve. I live in Prairie. I was born in 1955. A large family of 17. My parents are Aletha Price, and my dad's name was Lawrence Villeneuve, originally from Wabasca. Granny was from Saskatchewan, and her parents moved across the prairies and ended up in Alberta. And originally her background is Welsh. Dad's background is Cree. His dad was Moise Villeneuve, lived in Mirror Landing, which is called Smith, Alberta now. And originally he was from Wabasca. Dad ended up speaking multilingual. Cree was common, French was common, English was common. So yeah, he was quite talented in that department. Got his education at home more than anywhere else. That's what they did back in the day, yeah. So hence Dad was a very good trapper and very knowledgeable about the bush, hence growing up in Wabasca and stuff like that. So it was just second nature to him. Yes, he trapped. And when he got older, he walked out of Wabasca and headed for Slave Lake, looking for work, and he got a job cutting rails, taking trees and flattening two sides with an axe, a broad axe, and cutting them to length with the Swede saw and stacking them up along, and the train would come and get them. And he also learned to speak Portuguese at that time, because there was lots of immigrants, Portuguese immigrants, working on the rail lines because of their knowledge of railroads and stuff in Europe. So that drew them to help build the railroad. I have a twin brother, and he's the same age. We were born in Edmonton, Alberta, and raised in Smith till we were, I believe, 6 years old. From there we went to Fort Vermilion till we were 9, and from 9 on we lived in Prairie. When we moved from Smith in 1963 up to Fort Vermilion, the 3 years we spent there, we really picked up a lot of the Cree language, because there was a large residential school there, and all those kids lived in that residential school. We went back and forth on the school bus and stayed at home, but we learned their language because a lot of those kids could not speak English. And the only way to communicate was with a, broken English and Cree. We had a neighbor who had cows, a rancher, and his name was Lloyd Northey. He was also an optometrist and a pilot. I remember riding with him in the airplane. He always used to take us along if he had to haul freight, because he knew we liked to go for an airplane ride. And when he got to his destination, he always had help unloading, turning the airplane around if it was muddy, and we just fit right in, and we didn't weigh very much. And so we were a pretty good cargo for him, yeah. Yeah, it was just a thrill to be able to participate in something like that. So he had a big herd of cows right next door to us. His cattle setup was, so we used to be over there every chance we got at the break of dawn or whatever, and hanging out there, helping his workers cut hay, and just everything that needs to be done on a farm, and especially during calving season and stuff, to help out. Yeah, that was our first, I guess, work, and I never really thought about it much, but that was our first introduction to work, and loved it. Once we moved to Prairie, we did a lot of land clearing. Dad had bought cleared land, but we applied for some land, and we did a lot of the work back then was by hand, like piling, picking roots and burning roots, and we didn't have power saws, so there was lots of heavy work and dirty work, and we cleared our land with an old 2UD8 and broke it with a single bottom breaking plow, and just worked it. It seemed like all of our summer long was always sitting on a tractor or a small cat or something, pulling a braking disc, or walking in the field on a hot day in rubber boots and picking roots for 8 hours. You don't see a whole bunch of that nowadays. It's the kids seem to be protected, or or on their iPads, or a different setup. Instead of trying to encourage them, it's always, well, let me do this one. Trying to get in a hurry and get more done and taking work away from them. But, you just got to be patient, let them participate more sometimes. And yeah, it's good. It's just so satisfying to see that in kids that are, 6, 8 years old. Unbelievable. Back in the day, what was the general consensus? Everybody felt that the married men should stay home and do the work here in the community if there was, and all the single men, like 17 years and older, would go away to go to work. So that's just how things worked back then. It was just a way different system. It wasn't competitive. It was more supportive of one another as families, as growth. People didn't have a whole bunch, but what little bit they did have, they were very proud of it and took very good care of it. And people grew their own gardens, and they didn't go to the store because there was very little transportation to the store. You might get to the town or to a town to get groceries maybe twice a summer. Every day supper was a big deal. We all gathered. We didn't eat independently here and there and all over. We all sat down at the same table and we all ate, and we discussed what we were doing, what was happening, or if there was any issues that that need to be dealt with. People didn't have cash, money. Well, they did from trapping, but they didn't have access to it year-round. So all of a sudden you found young families, first introduction to real money, like lots of money, more than they could need. Our population changed. They started just buying everything with good intentions. You can't really blame them because they were trying to do something to help their kids and give them more because they loved them. But you could see all these families, their lifestyle changing from participating as helpers, whether it be working in a garden, helping raise your family, the kids who were younger than you, taking care of them or taking care of chickens or whatever the case may be. The kids seem to be more immobile. Drinking started happening a lot more then too, by the introduction of alcohol and introduction of transportation to where they could get alcohol and stuff. So there was a big change happening, and we could see a lot of that influenced their entire family system, and in a lot of cases destroyed it. Yeah, our community's broken. It isn't a community as a community should be. Yeah, I think we need to get people going to school. Political scientists, we have our own history. I believe we need more of them to bring out some of the stuff from the past, to deal with it, to educate the average Métis person, our rights. And the best way to help that and change that, I believe, is the same way they tried to stop people from smoking. They couldn't. So they finally went to the school and started grade 2. That's when we got to start introducing things so that they just grow up knowledgeable, or at least some background to it. Constant communication, encouragement, is good, and that's very important, and it opens up everything. Yeah. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Today's world seems to be such a disposable, throwaway world. Like we never grew up like that.